Welcome to Real-ationship Goals, a podcast all about the realities of healthy relationships. Real-ationship Goals is a project of the Advocacy Center for Crime Victims and Children in Waco, Texas. If you or someone you know has experienced sexual violence or harassment and is seeking support, services, or needs more information, links to resources and our hotline number can be found in the description. The views expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect those of their organizations or affiliates.
Welcome back to Real-ationship Goals podcast, episode 11. We are glad you're here. My name is Blythe.
I'm Mariana. And I'm Kyla.
Y'all, thanks for joining us for our last third, set of podcasts that we have planned for the semester. Yeah,
we've done it.
Yeah. So, okay, I have our story today, and I'm going to take us back to summer camp. So when I was 19, I got to be a counselor at a summer camp for an entire summer. I was underpaid, but it was so fun. But I was well paid in regard to relationships and, emotional nourishment, maybe not in sleep. And my diet was terrible. All that to say, I was 19 at a summer camp. And one of the things that I got to do as being a counselor in the summer camp was be a counselor at the same time as my best friend. And she had, grown up going to this camp, and I went once or for a week once in high school. And she was like, "Hey, I'm applying to be a counselor. You should do it too." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. I'll do it." And it, oh my gosh, so much fun. And there were, I think 9 or 18 counselors in total, half were guys, half were gal pals. And so it was, we're entering the last week where we had campers. There we go. I was the youth.
Children.
Yes, but I was going to say, I still kind of was a youth. But I'd like to say it was our last week with campers. And then I think, there was going to be 1 week after that where we were wrapping up and all the things. And in this last week, so normally in a cabin, there are 2 counselors. And this week, my best friend and I got to be counselors together. And her, one of her sisters was one of the campers. Wholesome. And I'd known her for, at this point, what felt like a really long time. I think we'd been friends since we were 12. So it had been a long time. Really got to know, her and her family, and was over there basically every weekend. It was a delight. I think it was in the middle of the week. So her mom had experienced some health issues in the past, and they got a phone call of "Hey, your mom's in the hospital because of," I'm going to protect medical information, because of this thing that's happened before, but it's a big deal, and so she and her sister are they're freaking out. They're okay, we're over an hour from our mom. And, then I'm oh my gosh, I also this is basically my second mom. And but in the moment, I think I felt so helpless, because it was just I can't do anything. You physically have to leave. So I can't, it feels I can't even try to support you as a friend, or something like that. And I'm 19, I'm not a medical professional, or something like that. And we're an hour and a half away, and we have, 12 campers or something like that. We also have to, make sure that, first of all, you don't really need to know about this. But second of all, that you're still having a really positive camp experience. And so I just remember in the kerfuffle of okay, we need, you don't have a car. We need to figure out how we're going to get you to Illinois, to see your mom and to get your sister there, and to do that in a way that's not disruptive to camp. And I just remember a few hours after they left, and I had some kind of downtime where all the campers were doing camper things, and I didn't have to be involved. Just another someone who was on staff. I think she was the worship. It was a Christian camp. It was she was the worship director, and just came by to check on me. She's "Hey, how are you doing?" And I felt so loved by that, because I was I'm not doing great. Because this is a big thing happening in the life of someone, but it's not my parent, and so I'm a degree removed. But I still feel so sad and just powerless to do anything about it. And I just really appreciated that person who was also had grown to be a dear friend, who was "Hey, that's still real, and that's still really hard. So how can we support you while you're here?" I know that's my story.
That's hard.
Yeah, it sucked. She's okay now, by the way.
Oh, that's
Mom's okay. She's thriving.
Well, that's good.
Friend is okay. So I should add that they're doing okay. But yeah.
Well, thank you both for
Yeah.
sharing that story with us. So as of today, we are talking about helplessness. And helplessness is basically like something that is happening in the life of someone you care about, but you can't really do anything about it. And that could come from a multitude of things. It could be from mental illness, friends that have mean siblings, or a partner has a terrible boss, or anything like that. And I think just like the feelings of helplessness can surface up when we might not feel like we're showing up enough in someone's life, and not being able to change circumstances for someone that we really care about. And that can be very difficult. And like, I want to help you so bad, but I have no power to do that. And I don't understand how to really do that. So this episode, we're really just going to talk about like how to identify that uncomfortable feeling and navigate through that in a healthy manner. So
Yeah.
helplessness.
Yeah, that's good. I think a good, I loved all those examples you gave. Those were so good. A good and important like caveat to add of like, obviously like you can feel helpless if like something is happening in your own life or something like that. Or like there's, if you've seen Hamilton, there's like a whole song about like, oh my gosh, like the girl, she like sees the guy and she's like, oh my God, like kind of like helplessly in love with you kind of a thing. So to say like that is a degree of like helplessness, and that's so real, but just the context of what we're going to talk about is in like something is happening outside of your life. As yeah, I just wanted to add that caveat. Yeah, I think helplessness is, I don't know, like counterintuitive, but like can be a sign that like you really care about someone and like you want to like make the thing better, or like and sometimes it's like I want to be the one to like make the thing better, but like it's outside of my control. And so just like to add, I think that that's like it's a really hard feeling to experience, but it's like a good instinct, you know, of like I care about you, and so like I want to fix this thing, I want to make it better, and so therefore I'm feeling helpless because I can't.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that my mouth started moving before my brain caught up for a second there, but I was gonna say I think that that's so very true, and it is such a deep sign that that you care very deeply about somebody. And I think that as a part of that, kind of like you were saying, like that's deep empathy of like you're feeling for that person, you're feeling with that person. And sometimes it means that whenever those like involve really intense, like sometimes like more negative emotions, I think that like this is something that I felt sometimes where like if my partner is really upset about something, that makes me upset. But I never want to tip that scale into I'm so upset about the thing that's impacting him that the coin flips, and now he feels like he needs to comfort me, and it's like I need to figure out how to regulate that on myself, or go to like my best, not obviously not sharing details of what's going on with him, but go to my best friend and be like, he's really hurting, and like that's making me upset in this way. Or like I'll talk to my mom and be like, he's really hurting about this, and that is making me upset in these ways, so that I have an outlet that is not him who is personally experiencing that hurt, to kind of like process through my own. And like just kind of in that same vein, it's so important to recognize that like hurting for somebody else is not selfish. Like it is okay for you to be experiencing those extreme like emotions. Like it was okay for you to be upset about your friend's mom, because that was still, even if it wasn't your mom, and even if it wasn't, like you said, you weren't in that like inner circle, you were in like the second layer, that still your feelings were still very valid. Like your connection, your relationship with her and your relationship with your friend were very valid. And there is no selfishness in feelings. There is selfishness in how you react to your feelings sometimes. So just being aware and conscious of that, I think.
Oh, that's good. And I think and just to piggyback off of that, and to hit the point home of like this secondary hurt. I don't know, I'm gonna use it.
I feel like
that
that's secondary.
Sure, like secondary hurt is still real hurt, you know, and like you should like respond to that hurt in a way that like or like that hurt should be responded to as if it's valid, not as if it's like lesser or something like that. Granted, right, like, and you hit spot on, like the person to like, whether it's to vent, to process with, is probably not the person who's, and this is a faulty term, but like who's experiencing like the quote unquote primary hurt. Not to say that like one is necessarily greater or less, but like that's not the person to do that with, right? There are, you know, whether that's like going to another friend or just like someone else that you are close with that you can like process that with. Like you should do, because like that is also caring for ourselves. Yeah.
And I guess like just understanding that like even in showing empathy and like having that secondary hurt, also just like acknowledging and recognizing you can be there for someone and still that uncomfortable feeling of being hurt because the person that you care about is hurt, and like basically like navigating through that in a healthy manner, just like basically being there, listening to them, just like vent about anything that's going on with them, and not necessarily like having something for them, like a solution for them right away, because it's not always our job to fix things, but it is always good to just like be a listening ear. And like putting the ball in their court, just like, hey, you might throw out some things to them, like for them to possibly do, but at the same time, putting it back in their court, like you could choose this, you could choose this, you could choose this, but this is totally for you to decide, because I am not in control of this situation, you are. So
that is so true, and that resonated so deeply with me, because that's something like over the last year or so that I've been trying to be more conscious of whenever somebody is sharing something with me, beginning from a space of, do you want space and time to vent? Like, do you want me to just be a listening ear, or do you want me to help you like come up with solutions or try to like reason what's happening? So that's just it's very hard. I feel like we're just very naturally like, oh, well, we've got to fix it. Like, we've just got to jump on in, like, let's figure this out. Oh, well, they said that really mean thing. Well, maybe this was going on in the background, whenever that's sometimes just not what people need. But I think it's our resistance to feelings of helplessness that kind of prevent us from our initial reaction being to just sit in that space with someone, because it is so hard.
And that's often like what that person needs. That's often what I need, right? Of like, for friend or something else, like I just need you to, like, I don't need you to be the fixer, I just need you to be my friend and to sit with me in that, which makes me think of like how the feeling of like helplessness can get twisted, and we can respond to that in like really harmful or unhealthy ways, like if we use it as an excuse to like try to exert power and control in other areas of our lives, right? Because like helplessness is often a feeling of like or it's really connected to like I don't have control over something, and so it's like, ooh, red flag if I or someone else is like using that feeling to then like, how can I, like, I don't know if it's like domineer or like exert unhealthy power and control in the lives of like other people around me because I'm grasping for that control. Right. And we know like in a like healthy relationships are equal relationships where like it's not a like power and control differential. Obviously, like there are some natural like power differentials with like coachee, what is that called?
Student.
Yeah, student. There we go. Yes. Sorry. Or athlete or something like that. Sorry.
A team member.
Yeah, team member. So like, but outside of like kind of like those natural things or something like that. So that's like a red flag. That's not how helplessness should be responded to, because that can also get unsafe really, really fast. Yeah. Are there other? I'm trying to think. What are other ways you could what are other like red flag responses to helplessness, or like how it might show up in relationships?
I think like even when like you have that feeling of helplessness in dealing with a situation with like a family member or a friend or such like that, holding in your own feelings, because like when you bottle up your own feelings, that can create tension within yourself. And like, so if that person is like maybe needing the space to vent to you, you're like, well, I can't help you, so I'm really frustrated right now, I keep giving you this and that and that, but at the same time, I still can't help you because I'm frustrated because you're frustrated. And that can also create an unhealthy dynamic between you and that person that you have that relationship
Yeah.
with. So that's another way of looking at that.
Yeah, that's good. And like the holding and bottling in emotions like is not like the strong thing to do in a way. Like the strong thing to do, right? And like the vulnerable and the courageous thing to do is to, in safe ways, not necessarily to that person, to like allow yourself to like experience those things and to say like, hey, this is really hard. And like, and yeah, and I care about this person, and that's vulnerable and it's beautiful. But yeah, that's just, I think, a myth. Like, oh, the strong thing to do is to hold it in and to not share that with anybody. Yeah.
I think another unhealthy thing is, kind of like we were hitting on earlier with control and like trying to control how someone responds to their situation, maybe. Or it's like, that's something I struggle with sometimes, of being like, okay, like, just tell me what you need so I can give you what you need, so I can be the best support that I can be, which is kind of an inherently selfish thing, because it's like, like, tell me so I can be reassured of what I need to do for you. And sometimes, and this is okay, and it's so hard and it's so frustrating, which is valid to deal with this. Sometimes people don't know what they need to be supported, and sometimes like it sucks. It sucks so hard, but sometimes we just are kind of floating in space, and it's like, I don't know what I need. I just know that I feel so bad right now, and that's hard, but that's just how it is sometimes. And all we can do is let people know, I'm here for you. Like, I'm here if you need me. I'm here in whatever way you need me, the best of my ability,
Sure.
safely and healthily.
Yeah.
But I'm here for you. And then sometimes you just have to, if they need space, give them space, and just kind of like let go of the reins, which I think is scary and really difficult, because there's, like I said earlier, it all comes down to, I think, that uncertainty that is just so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I think I found myself in a situation like that before, with a college friend. It was like we were like testing or something, like midterms or something like that was going on, and like they needed my help for this class because I had taken the class before. And so I was like, well, I don't have those things anymore, so I don't necessarily know if I am in the space or area to help you at this moment. And so they became like really upset about it and just really frustrated. So I just was like trying to like give input, but I asked, like, what is it that you need right now? Not necessarily what do I need to do to reassure you that you will be okay in this instance, but just basically simply saying, what is it that you need in this moment right now? And them simply saying, I don't know what I need right now. And I'm like, okay, well, we could just sit here in silence until you're ready to express what you need, and that is okay, and I'm with that. And so that's totally I think that's a healthy way to respond to helplessness.
So I think it's good to remember, it's good for me to remember that like I as a human being have limits, and that's not there being like something wrong with me. It's just like I have a finite capacity. I can't do everything. I shouldn't be able to do to do everything. Before we kind of close really quick, want to add a quick caveat that like if you are in the Central Texas area, so the Advocacy Center, right, we offer services and support to anyone who's been a victim of crime or violence, and to that person's like loved ones, right? So friend, family members. So just like and I mean, like our services like counseling especially are free, and so just you don't, if something is like going on, like something happened to your sister or your friend or something like that, or your child or your parent, that they are experiencing a crime or like victim of violence, that like there are supports for you too. And if you are outside of the Central Texas area, I encourage you to look into those. So any final thoughts before we jump into our relationship goal? Cool beans. Okay, y'all, your relationship goal this week is to express gratitude for someone who has loved you and supported you, right? So maybe it's either happening right now or it happened in the past. Like say, hey, thanks for being there for me, because oftentimes, right, it's the people who are like close in our life that we need the most when we're going through something really tough. And it's just like really good to remind them like, hey, I hear you, I see you, I feel the support that you gave me, even if to you it didn't feel like you were doing a ton like you did, and that meant a lot. And Kyla has a recommendation.
Yes, I do. And I'm very excited about it because over spring break, I decided that it was time that I picked up a more like tactile hobby. So I'm kind of hopping onto Ariana's like arts and crafts thing that she's had going on for a little while.
I love it.
And I was just like, I'm just a very anxious person. So I was like, I need something that I can do with my hands.
Sure.
That'll keep my hands busy. So I started crocheting. So I just was like, I am just gonna do it. So I've looked up videos online and I'm making the world's tiniest scarf right now. First attempt, not so well. So I decided to scale it back and now it's very thin, but it is very pretty and yellow and I'm very excited. So I'm starting to get the hang of it. So everybody will have sweaters by the end of the year.
I love that. I love that. I love that. What a good recommendation. Yeah, I'll do something tactile, crochet, knit. Do some, I don't know, do something.
Anything.
Yeah, anything.
Something.
Take care of yourselves and each other. Quoted by Lester Holt. We love Lester. I'll say y'all, thanks for tuning in today. We appreciate you listening, watching. There's a sign. I hope it doesn't mean anything. And yeah, remember to like rate, review, subscribe, follow us on social media. That'll all be in the description, caption, show notes. There we go. And we'll see you next time for episode 12.
Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning into Real-ationship Goals. This episode was produced by the Prevention and Education Department of the Advocacy Center for Crime Victims and Children in Waco, Texas. You can follow us on Instagram at ACCVC_prevention. See you next time.